understand that part, but I also understand the part that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's kind of where the way I think. And at the end of the day, we can rush for 700 yards in a game. I'm still gonna be like, hey man, I'm ready for the ball every play. You know, that's just the dog mentality, and that's why I'm here. So there ain't no secret. So at the end of the day, we don't need to make it any spicier than what it needs to be. But you know, I think y'all feel me on that.
Do you feel like you guys had addressed issues this past week that makes it harder to lose a game like this because you guys have talked about some of the problems early on? Maybe you guys have this whole week together and things are set up a little differently for a change, you think? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it don't really matter where you are or any of that. I think you just got to look at the tape, and everybody got to come in and the urgency's got to be there, and we just got to. It's just about executing, man. It gets so repetitive at this point. Honestly, I've never been in a position where I've had to answer the same exact type of questions week in and week out, and I mean that's the questions that are out there. You got to ask that. So, but I don't have the answer. I think we just got to come back. We got to just find a way and rally around the captains. The guys got to be in the most positive mindset. It's hard to when you're a competitor and you want to win, especially immediately after. So you're going to see this type of move, but then, when we get into the work week, we're going to get back to it and find a way to go out there and put something good on tape so we can go get a W.
There you go. Devonte Adams immediately following the game in the Raiders locker room as they lost 27-20 to the Jaguars. And, it's so funny. I saw so many posts and so many people talking about, did you hear Devonte Adams call out his coach and fire shots at his coach? And it's so funny. I think that in 2022, and this has been going on for a while as well, if you have any kind of a comment that is, just as a matter of fact, it's got to be a shot fired at somebody. People say that to us all the time. So-and-so took a shot at so. Not necessarily. I didn't think anything he said was taking a shot at Josh McDaniels. I think he was just saying, hey, we got away from doing something that was working, and I don't think we needed to do that. That's not a shot. That's just giving his opinion, and I think that that's fair. And I don't think anything that he said there, just like he said, hey, I think Coach would agree with what I said. When you go back and look at it, and if I'm wrong, then, he'll address it with me as well. And as the captain of the team, I think it's okay. Like, we always talk about leadership. Well, to me, what Devonte Adams had to say was him being a leader and saying, this is where we went wrong. This is, what we needed to do. Sometimes we need to just stick with what's working and go with it. That's an opinion, and that's a fair opinion, a fair assessment. I agree 100% with what he had to say. But I didn't take it as a shot. But a lot of people did immediately. It was like, ooh, it's got to be like he said. You don't have to make it any spicier. He's not saying that, like you heard Vinny say, hey, I'm not trying to start anything. And I could appreciate Vinny saying that as well, because some people will be like, oh, man, did you hear Vinny try to set him up? No, he didn't try to set him up. He was just asking a question that I thought was very valid. And he said, I'm not afraid of giving my comments. And look, he goes and talks to Coach. He talks to Derek. He talks to other players in the locker room. So they all know how he feels. Again, that's him being a man and stepping up and sharing his thoughts. I had no problem with that. And honestly, don't think head coach Josh McDaniels had any problem with that, as we met with him earlier today at the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center, his regular Monday media session, and he was asked about what Devonte had to say post-game, and here was a very lengthy answer from head coach.
I always think there's areas that I could do better in. I mean, I've stood up here before and said I've never called a perfect game, and I probably never will. I think there's a lot of things that go into that. Devonte didn't. I know what he meant when he said that, and I don't take any of those things personally. And the reality is we have opportunities. We gotta come through with them, and I have to do a good job of trying to make sure that we continue to try to present opportunities for our team. It's really a two-way street in that regard, where you got to keep probing as a coaching staff and as a play caller to find opportunities for your best players to get involved and produce in the game, and then when we have those opportunities, we're going to need to come through. And I thought one of the things that was really interesting as the game wore on yesterday, and this is it is what it is, but you end up throwing it really well in the first half and producing a lot of yards and points with very little success in a running game. And when you look at it, and I've looked at it many times because I've called a lot of different games, that, is that a sustainable model to keep playing, where you're going to throw it for 450 and not run it for any, and so it's a tough thing to think you're going to be able to just do it that way. We were fortunate we got out to the start we did, and he obviously, we were doing a very good job of getting him involved in the game. Derek found him on a number of plays, and we continue to try to do some of that. But I also think we didn't run it very good in the first half, and it was something where I'm looking at it going, okay, we got a lead, but you're going to need to be able to find some balance in the game at some point, so that we're not just sitting there, with a lead, dropping back the pass on every play and giving them opportunities to make plays in the pass rush or blitz us or those kind of things. So, the thought process, hopefully was the right mindset. Obviously, the execution at the end of the day is what's important, and we didn't put enough points on the board to win the game.
Head coach Josh McDaniels right there responding to what Devonte Adams had to say. And, as much as I agree 100% that Devonte Adams with his opinion, I also understand what Josh McDaniels was trying to do. We talked to Ed Graney earlier on the show today, and we were talking about that balance. It is really difficult. We saw Patrick Mahomes last night drop back, 62 times? Throw the ball 62 times? That is, especially when you have a leaky offensive line like the Raiders have, and I don't think that I'm breaking any news when I say that. If Derek Carr dropped back 62 times, that's 62 opportunities for something bad to happen. And I don't mean with him throwing an interception. I mean with him getting drilled, with him fumbling the ball, a turnover by getting sacked. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen. Where I agree that, Devonte should have been probably focused and targeted a lot more in the second half, especially coming out of the locker room. Like, I understand why the balance has got to be there, or you're trying to get the balance there.